guys, back again with another video. Today, got a really cool tutorial with an After Effects. I'm going to show you this really awesome suspended raindrops tutorial. I'm going to be creating the raindrops with Element 3D. There's a bunch of other ways to do it. You can use trap code form, you can use Cinema 4D. I think Element 3D from Video Copilot is the easiest way to pull this off, and there's a lot more things that you can do with this. So basically, this tutorial is inspired from this music video by Brother, and they have this really awesome sequence where they have a bunch of rain. He ends up floating up into this party, and whenever they're in the party showing all the party scenes, they have these kind of super slow motion parts where you can see these raindrops, and the raindrops are reacting to the camera. So I'm going to show you guys how you can do that, how you can zoom through these raindrops, so you can design the raindrops. It's going to be a really awesome tutorial. I'm really excited to show you guys how we can do this. So let's hop into Premiere here and get everything set up. Before we do start the tutorial, if you guys are new here, make sure you subscribe, join the community if you would like to. If you enjoy this content, if you enjoy these kinds of videos, leave a like. It helps the growth of this channel a huge amount. Comment below anything you'd like to see me make, whether it's breaking down a music video, whether it's giving you guys some kind of new tutorial. So I shot this in 120 frames per second, which means if I was to slow this down, so for example, right click, speed duration, and we'll make it 50. Since I shot it at a higher frame rate, the slow motion is going to be nice and smooth, just like this. But we don't just want nice, smooth slow motion. We want a part that looks like it's almost frozen in time, but has this nice, crisp, slow motion. So here's how we can do that. So I'm going to find a part where I want these raindrops to fall and where I want that really crazy slow motion to kick in. So I'm going to pick right here, and I'm going to set up some speed ramping and time remapping. So to do that, just right click on this little gray box that says FX. So right click on that, go down to time remapping, and then click speed. And you're going to see it shows this little line here, and we can just drag this up to make that a little bit bigger. And to set this up, all you need to do is hold down Control on your keyboard. You'll see this little plus sign whenever you hover over this line, and just click there. And then we can also go ahead and just Control click at the beginning right there. So from the part where he walks up to the bag to where I want the slow motion to happen, I'm gonna drag this line up, and I'm gonna make that at about 200%. So it's gonna be sped up, and this is what it's looking like. So I'm gonna sped up there, and then at this point that we made originally, I want it to be that nice crisp slow motion. So let's drag a little bit. Let's see how much of this we really want to use. Right about here seems good, so I'm going to Control click there, and I'm going to drag this line down into 20%. So super slow, like I said, 20% like that, and it's going to make this clip a lot longer because this is going to be in super slow motion. Now, just to add a little bit onto this, what you could do is just cut out this part that you just made super slow-mo, right click on it, go to speed duration, and you can set the time interpolation to optical flow. Now that's just going to make it flow a little bit better, especially if you're shooting something like 60 frames. If you're not shooting at 120 frames, I recommend you at least shoot within 60 frames to get this nice smooth slow motion. So this is what we have. We have the sped up part, and then it just kind of transitions into this crazy slow motion. We're going to have the raindrops really suspended in air at this part in time. And then the last thing that I did before we bring this into After Effects, and you can add this in any point, you don't have to add this now, you could of course add this afterwards, is I actually added flickering and some glowing. So if you guys would like some cheap presets to be able to create that kind of brother, crazy, trippy look, check out my website, MediaMonopoly.co. In some of my effects packs, we have glow presets, we have flicker presets. I also added in the beginning this color changing preset if you guys are interested in any of that. So if you are looking for some creative effects just to kind of boost up the vibe of the video, check out my website, like I said, link down in the description. Alright, so we're now ready to go into After Effects. What you can do is just select all this, right click, and then replace with After Effects Comp. What I did is just to avoid any complications, since I did speed ramping in Premiere, is I actually just rendered out this part as itself so that I have it as a clip. I don't have to worry about After Effects conflicting with any Premiere stuff we've done, and now I can just right click this rendered out clip and click replace with After Effects Composition. So it's going to open up within After Effects, and you see this is what I did earlier. We're going to start brand new just from this clip that we got here. So first things first, what I'm going to do is find the place where it switches from sped up to slow motion. So I'm going to click page up and page down and move frame by frame and just watch his hand there. I'm pretty sure it switches to slow motion. So what I'm going to do is click on my clip and click Control Shift D. So this right here is the sped up part. I'm going to actually rename that sped up, and this right here is the super slow motion part where we're going to add our actual raindrops. So on that sped up part, all we're going to need to do is add one simple little effect, and this is built in within After Effects. You don't need any plugins. Go ahead and search up CC Rain, and then right here CC Rainfall. We're going to drag and place that on our sped up part of the clip. It's just going to add some simple little rain. You can change the size of the drops, you can change how many there are, and there's more advanced ways to create rain, but this is just a simple way that I can show you and an easy way that you can create this. All right, so now let's start adding these raindrops. So to be able to do this, so it's pretty simple. Like I said, there's a few ways you can do it. I'm gonna be using Element 3D. There's a bunch of other options out there, any kind of thing that's gonna bring in this shape that you really want. Like I said, I'm gonna use Elements, so check out link in the description, Video Copilot, Element 3D. Let's right click down here, and I'm gonna go to New, and I'm going to click Solid. And I'm just gonna name this Raindrops, like that. Go ahead and click OK. Now let's go to my effects and presets in After Effects, and I'm going to look up Element. And then we're gonna go ahead and drag Element onto that black solid that we have here. And then now we can go ahead and set up those raindrops and manipulate them to look the way we want. So let's come up here to our effect controls. Let's go ahead and click Scene Setup. It's gonna open up Element 3D. So now there's a few options you can do for the actual shape of the raindrop. Of course, what you could do is just click on Starter Pack or Primitives, and you can bring in one of these shapes. You can kind of have this blob if you want. You can make just a normal circle. What I did was I actually imported a free Cinema 4D shape of a bubble. If you guys didn't already know, you can import OBJ files and you can import C4D files into Element 3D and they'll pop up. So let's click on Soap Bubble C4D and then open that up. And like I said, this is free. I'm going to link in the description where you guys can download this. But of course, if you want, you can just use the shapes that are in the Primitives starter pack that come with Element. So now that we have this in here, we're going to go down to these options and we're going to click Normalize Size. And that's just going to make it a little bit bigger. And then we're just going to get rid of this ugly looking soap bubble texture that it has on here. So I'm using a texture from the Pro Shaders pack. I'm going down to translucent and just adding this caustic water thing onto here, just like that. You could also go to the built-in textures that come with Element and add any of them. It doesn't have to look too crazy because we're going to be changing opacity and making it really look like water later on. So you could use something like glass, anything like that. This one is just a little added bonus in case you do have that Pro Shaders pack. All right, guys, so it's pretty simple, not too complex. We just need kind of the shape of the raindrops. Go ahead and click OK once you've done that, and make sure that this raindrops layer is at the very top, and you're going to see the orb that we've got going on right there. Now let's just change some settings within Element to make this look like there's a bunch of raindrops and they're falling from the sky in slow motion. So first off, let's click this arrow and then let's go down to transform and let's just drop down the opacity of this so it doesn't look like a solid sphere. You can make it anywhere between 70 and 30 depending on your footage. So I'm probably gonna make mine about like 54, something like that. You can also open up the render settings within Element in your effect controls, open up your actual lighting, and then you can change the added lighting to any of these presets that you got going on here. So I'm probably going to set it to something like stylized. Alright, so here's what our raindrops looking like. We're going to add an effect to kind of distort them later on, so don't worry if it's just a perfect sphere right here. Honestly, you really just need a sphere. You don't have to worry about the shape because we're going to use an effect to create the shapes later on. So now let's set up so we have all these raindrops falling down. So come up here to where it says Group 1 in Element, in your Element options. So open that up, open up Particle Replicator right there, and then we're going to go ahead and change the replicator shape from point into plane. And we could also bounce up this particle count, not anything too crazy, something maybe like 23. And now you really just need to mess around with these options. So let's open up the shape scale, and then we could also drop back the Z position. Let's go ahead and open up these scatter options and just kind of scatter these around a little bit like that so that it doesn't look like it's all just one thing. All right, so now it looks like we just have a bunch of bubbles on the screen. So let's start trying to make these look like raindrops. And to do that, we're gonna add another effect onto here. So let's go into our effects and presets library and search up turbulent displacement. So turbulent displace, drag that onto your Element clip. And now as you see, it just kind of adds a little bit more distortion onto there. And anytime you move any of these element settings back at the top here, you're gonna see that the turbulent displace is taking effect. As you can see right there, it kind of moves around like water. You can also drag down here to where it says world transform. Let's open that up, and then we can just drop down the world scale a little bit because we don't want these to be too huge. Okay, so we set up our raindrops, and what I'm gonna do is just drag back to the part where we made our cut, because this is the sped up, where we just have our normal rain, and then this is where the slow motion starts. So let's place the cut. Let's click on our Element 3D raindrops layer, click Control Shift D to make a cut there, and then just delete the first part. So now we have normal rain, and then switches to that slow motion rain. Now we just need to animate it to make it look like it's actually moving. So to do that, it's pretty simple. We're just going to use a few keyframes, drag back to the beginning where the slow motion starts, and then click on your element layer again, and then let's go back up to our options, and then let's just keyframe a bunch of these options for moving them around. So keyframe your positions and your scale, let's keyframe the scattering a little bit, let's drag to the very very end, go to our position XY. We're gonna take the Y value and we're gonna move it down. So now let's go through and see how that animation is looking. Let's play it. So something like that, that's looking really good already. Doesn't have to be too crazy adjustments, just something like that is going to look pretty good. And now what we can do is, because this is raindrops and it's not just falling in one part, I'm going to click on my element layer. I'm going to click Control D, and that's going to duplicate it. And then I'm going to drag that duplication up like that. And then I'm going to drag this duplication up kind of like this, so it looks like they're still falling from the sky. On the duplication, I'm going to change a little bit more settings just so it doesn't look like an exact copy of what we got going on here. So that looks good. It looks like there's raindrops really falling from the sky. I think these are a little bit too big, so we can just bump down our world scale a tiny bit. All right, so that's looking really cool. Now, another adjustment we can do on these raindrops is we can click on a raindrop and we can just look up a quick little curves effect, and we can color grade this so that it looks a little bit less gray and a little bit more like darker water. And you really want to match the background when you're doing this, so it's going to be different every time. So let's just kind of play around with this and see what we can do. And I'm just going to drop it down, and it's looking a little bit more, and it looks a little bit more liquid whenever we drop the curves like that. So you could copy that curve pattern if you would like. And then what you could do is always just click Control C on that curves, click on your other raindrops, and then you could just click in this gray space, Control V, just to paste that curves effect onto there. And that's actually looking really good. I like how this is turning out. Now, the last tip that I have for you guys to pull this off is actually moving through the raindrops. Now, this is going to make it look really cool, because since we made these raindrops as 3D element layers, we're really going to be able to pass through them and see them really scale with the camera within 3D space. So let's set this up real quick. Pretty simple. We just need to right click in this gray area, go to New, and then go to Camera, and we can go ahead and just make a 50mm camera, click OK. Now what we're going to do is drag that to the top, and then for our footage where it says super slow motion, let's go ahead and click this toggle switches and modes button until we see this switch with the 3D cube. The 3D layer switch, we're going to enable that, and now this is 3D layers, so we can move through 3D space. Let's go ahead and use this camera. So if you guys haven't watched a lot of my other tutorials about 3D stuff and using cameras, very good tutorials. I recommend you guys watch those. Pretty easy. All you need to do is click the C key, and you can cycle through your camera controls, and we can create some cool little animations of the camera moving forward. So let's open up our camera options, and then let's open up transform, and let's just keyframe all this, and then let's move to the end. And we're going to go ahead and click the C key to cycle through our camera controls, and we're going to move a little bit forward so it looks like the camera is really moving through 3D space, just like this. And because it's super slow motion, you're not going to see that big of a difference, but as it goes along, it's going to look really cool. Anything that I really taught you, change around any of those values, create your own unique looks. You can do some really awesome stuff with this. Add in a bunch of other effects to make some really awesome, cool, crazy sequences. Anyways, guys, like I said, if you guys are new here, consider subscribing, joining the community, regular videos, tutorials, music videos, a bunch of other stuff going on here. Leave a like if you did enjoy this video. Comment what you guys would like to see next. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.